Alrighty, good morning, Tarkov. Turn this down just a little bit. What's up, guys? Nolan here. This is the live morning cast where I like to hang out with you guys and answer any questions that you might have about Escape from Tarkov. Most of you watching this right now will be watching the VOD, which means I am no longer live, but you can catch me at 9 a.m. Eastern United States time every day if you are interested. Even though you missed the... Even though you missed me live, the VOD isn't bad because you'll find some timestamps at the top of the description and pinned in the comments so that you can go immediately to the so that you can go immediately to the highlights of the cast. I intro the stream, hang out a bit. While we wait for people to show up live and then get to the topic. I pick a topic every day that I rattle off on for a bit and then get to everyone's mind moving. I pick a topic every day that I rattle off on for a bit to get everyone's mind moving, and after. I pick a topic every day that I rattle off on for a bit to get everyone's mind moving, and then after we do a Q&A mostly about that topic. Today's topic is leg meta. All right, we got through that. Now, I'm not going crazy here, guys, but that is actually what it sounds like whenever I try to read my scripts, because I don't always one-take it. So there's a little bit of behind the scenes. And now this is normal me. That's a very simple script that I wrote like 20 minutes ago or whatever. So welcome to a little bit of behind the scenes there, because that's usually what happens, and then I have to go edit it. So there it is. I don't one take, and I don't speak super quick. I have to go out and I edit all the times that I screw up or that I stutter or something like that. So hopefully that doesn't turn too many people away, but I figured I might do something like that at the beginning just to see what you guys thought. Because that is how every single one of my videos go. I don't one take all of that stuff. It actually takes a lot of effort to actually even though the words are right in front of me, to actually read that script. Anyway, guys, good morning. How's everyone doing? You need to drink tea. It'll help soothe the... Yeah, I'm good now. That was yesterday. Oh, also another thing from yesterday. I turned up my mic. I'm assuming some of you guys have already probably noticed that and probably turned me down a little bit. So let me get some feedback on the mic and how loud it is and whatnot, and we'll see. I thought you were broken. Yeah, dude, exactly. So like, yeah. Noah there. I thought that'd be an interesting way to do it, because I wrote like a little script to make it simple for the VOD people to understand quickly, because obviously anyone that might think that this is a regular video will they'll go and they'll click on it, and then immediately once they just hear the music and hear me not talking or whatever, they'll click off. So I'm gonna try and be snappy with it, and hopefully I'll get quicker with that. I'll get quicker with the script or whatever. But yeah, that's a little bit behind the scenes in terms of like how it actually sounds when I read my scripts and stuff. And then there's also a lot of 4-letter words that are stuck in between. So whenever I screw something up, to be like, shit, all right, blah 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 blah, and then just try to redo it again. But yeah, I edit all that stuff out, obviously. What up, David? Leg meta makes sense because there needs to be a way for low levels to kill geared players. Yep, we'll get into that. Morning, Oregon. Content's crazy good. Please keep on, bro. That's the plan. Hey, chat. Hey, Elio. I don't get shot in the legs often. Okay, that's good for you. There's gonna be some people, especially when we're in close quarters, that actually do. So we'll get into that in a little bit. And like I mentioned, guys, we intro the stream, kind of hang out for a little bit, wait for some people to show up, and then we get into the intro for today. Or sorry, not the intro. We get into the topic for today, and today's topic is leg meta. Morning, Jared. 13 is coming after 12.11. Yep. Not directly after. Hold up. It's not going to go like, we have 12.10 right now, so it's not going to go 12.10, 12.11, 13. That's not how it's going to work, but it is going to be we're in 12.10 right now, so it would be 12.10, 12.11, 12.12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, or however long they want to do it. And then maybe if we get to like a 12.19, maybe after that we see 13, but they could theoretically just keep going there. So we'll see. We'll see what BSG decide to do. How do you feel about people spamming grenades at the first sign of combat? That's just the sign of the how long the lifespan and the current economy and stuff like that. I mean, of course, it's a valid, I don't know if this is the correct kind of phrasing. I'm sure plenty of people do this, or say this kind of thing, but it's a quote unquote valid tactic. If you have a ton of grenades, which depending on the economy could be super expensive or could be super cheap, or depending on how we access them, it could be super easy to get them. If people have easy access to them, then why wouldn't they spam them? Maybe slightly weaker. Okay. Let's turn the, I'm assuming you're talking about the mic. Are you talking about the mic? I'll turn it down a couple decibels and see what happens there. Personally, the way I saw it before was, let me just keep turning it down just a smidge, but it's difficult to do it with this. I'll keep it there. Maybe slightly weaker. I hope that means the mic. All right, so anyway, we've got enough people here so we can turn down the music just a little bit. And like I usually do, guys, we'll get to today's topic, and then after I kind of rattle off on some stuff, we'll get to the Q&A. So today's topic is leg meta, and it's actually super interesting because it falls into that as realistic as playable thing pretty significantly. Which, if you guys want to hear more about as realistic as playable and what I know about it and what I think about it and stuff like that, we did an entire stream of that the other day, and so you can go check that out. Now I'm seeing no's, so I hope the mic is still good, but I turned the music down, so we'll mess with that. We'll mess with that later. So leg meta does fall into the as realistic as playable, and sure, you can go into shock. You can actually, of course, bleed out, and there can be hit arteries there, and if you break your bones or whatever, like I mentioned before, you can go into shock and stuff like that. That would theoretically kill someone very, very quickly if you were shot in the legs. But as we know, there's people who have lost their legs, even high up on the leg and high up the thigh. And I'm not a doctor, I'm not a surgeon or anything like that. But there's people who have clearly, obviously, lost their legs, whether it be to sudden trauma or whether it be a proper surgical procedure or anything like that. It is possible to have that be okay and have you survive. So there is a gray area there. So what is that gray area, and why does it make sense in Escape from Tarkov? It goes into that as realistic as playable kind of subject, where if that person isn't wearing a face shield, then they're kind of unkillable to someone that's a lower level. Also, even if that isn't necessarily what BSG want as a feature for the game, I still think that makes sense as something to combat the higher level players. It's also sort of realistic because no one really uses leg armor. No one's walking around with a bomb suit that we would see from Juggernauts and things like that, from like the Call of Duties and things like that, where their legs are fully covered, because it's not actually, it's not actually ballistic. It's for bombs. If correct me if I'm wrong there in chat, boys. But it's for a sudden blast. It's not for bullets. It's not for somebody actually shooting you in the legs and things like that. So there isn't any really feasible leg armor that would out there that's used regularly. Sure, there's some thighs that are out there and things like that for like SWAT, but it's not widely used in a combat situation kind of a thing. So that's the last time that we've talked about that with BSG, and that was their for lack of a better word, excuse for why there's no leg, or why there is leg meta and why there's no leg armor in Escape from Tarkov, is because it's just not really used too much these days. So that's the point for leg armor. But when it comes to leg meta and how quickly you die when you are using leg meta, or when you are when you are getting shot in the legs, then again, that's a as realistic as playable thing, and that's what we're here to discuss. And like I mentioned, it is a touchy subject, because you can wear 2 million rubles depending on the economy. You can't wear 2 million rubles worth of gear out there, and then a cheeky boy with a shotgun can either double or two tap you when they shoot you in the leg. So it's actually going to be a spicy subject, and it's going to be a full actual discussion. So again, guys, we have the Nightbot in chat here. So if you want to know about wipe, if you want to know about Will Tang there just did commands, if you want to know about wipe, if you want to know about karma, anything like that, check out the commands and go check out the videos or go check out the past casts for the stuff like that. But today I want to do some back and forth. We haven't done too many discussions really because I've just been answering so many questions, and we'll have that specific Q&A, and I'm sure people are going to ask questions as we're talking about this today. But we haven't really had the format that I've kind of wanted, where it's a genuine actual discussion. So let me know what you guys think about leg meta in the chat. And if it actually is if it actually is a touchy subject, or if it is something that you guys don't feel right about, or if you don't think should be in the game or something like that, let's discuss it. Let's actually talk about it, and we'll see, the pros and cons to it. Like I said, personally, I think it does make a bit sense, even though it's unrealistic, because it does give a way to have that lower level player or that less geared player, or hell, scav player, because you don't start with too much more. You don't start with that much gear as a scav. To be able to usefully combat a fully geared up Chad. And yeah, that was the intro for today, or that was the topic for today, leg meta. Let's see what you guys think. If you guys want to talk, specifically to me, then make sure you're using @niceguy space Tarkov in the chat, because it shows up as an orange prompt. Rob Boss just used it there, and then also Philip up there also just used it. I'll put it in the chat myself so we can actually check that out. All right, let's get the slideshow going. We got that. Turn up the music just a little bit. And we'll get to it. So, again, how's the mic sound? Is that too low? Is that too high? What are you guys thinking? Guys, it's on a 1 minute cooldown for Nightbot there. If you see someone, I'm assuming that you guys can see the other Nightbot commands. I'm going to turn that down just a smidge again. Actually, just a little bit. I'm assuming you guys can see the Nightbot commands. Just read the Nightbot commands, guys, because most of the time it's going to be people that are asking for the wipe or asking for karma or something like that. And you should have the link for whatever you're interested in there. So make sure you check that out. Do you use leg meta from time to time? Yes, but Mike's fine. Okay, thanks, Glassy. Any news about Arena? Nope. Not yet. Just go check out. I did a video pretty recently about Arena, so that's everything that we have. Guys, we haven't heard anything from BSG in a few weeks. We haven't. The last official discussion that we had and kind of info that we had from BSG was their Talking Tarkov, or their Tarkov TV cast that they did for patch 12.10 before 12.10 dropped. So the entirety of patch 12.10, whether over the past few weeks now, we haven't heard anything official from BSG in like a public forum kind of a thing. So I have my sources that I can talk to, and I have a couple questions to Nikita himself. And if Nikita doesn't answer them, then sometimes we get someone that is fairly well in the know and fairly high up in BSG that can answer them. And I'm waiting to hear back on those. So if we don't hear a cast, or if we don't hear word from BSG officially, hopefully maybe we'll get some answers to my Q&A that I sent them recently. So we'll see what's up with that. But anyway, yeah. So anything new about Arena? No. And personally, I don't use leg meta. Like, I don't go into raids very often where my plan is leg meta. But if it really depends on the raid, right? So if you have a task, let's say, because tasks are really like that is I'm a big guy with progression, so I need something to actually do in that raid. I don't necessarily go into raids just to get kills and just to be a Chad kind of a thing. And not that there's anything wrong with that. I just personally don't do it. I need an actual task. I need a goal for that raid in order for me to actually have the most enjoyment out of it. And then, of course, if I end up getting a bunch of kills or whatever, of course, that's fun. And, of course, I enjoy myself with that. But I don't necessarily go into a raid just to get kills or anything like that. So let's say you have one of the many shotgun tasks out there. Then I would say, like, okay, so do I want to go Magnum Buck, or what do I want to do with this? That's a big decision for me, whether I want to go AP20 or Magnum Buck. And these days, if you guys are doing those shotgun tasks with or flechette, maybe, then if you guys are doing those tasks during this point of a wipe and during this economy, I would personally say AP20. I would say go with AP20 because it should be. Is it a 3-shot? It should be relatively a 3-shot, and then you might get lucky with a 1-shot sometimes with those. Even if they're wearing a visor or whatnot, because it's AP20. AP20 should be able to go through. It's an armor piercing, slug, as armor piercing as a shotgun slug can be. because it's not moving that quickly compared to like a rifle round and stuff like that. But that's a whole ballistics discussion that we get into another day. I would say during this point of the wipe, I would say AP20 if you guys are doing those shotgun tasks. And that's a good point too. So if it was earlier in the wipe, not too many people are wearing significant armor. If the armor hitboxes were in game, you're going to be seeing me do a hell of a lot more. And that was something that I was supposed to talk about when I was talking about today's topic, is leg meta is sort of a temporary thing because of how the armor hitbox system is going to work. So there's going to be just more gaps in your torso and going to... Oh, did we drop? What happened there, guys? Are you still with me? Something significant there happened, unless that was just YouTube fucking with me. I do not know what happened there. I think we're good. One in chat if you guys are still here. If you're still here and you can hear me. Yeah. Okay. I think that I'm assuming I'm about to see a whole bunch of ones. Yep, we're here. Okay. Good. All right. So if you guys are spamming ones, we're good. All right. Here's your loud and clear. All right. YouTube, and it just immediately disappeared. All right. We're good, guys. YouTube's fucking with me. It says that I just went to 0 viewers and then it immediately popped back up. So anyway, what was I talking about? All right. So the custom armor hitboxes and the custom rigs and the armor hitboxes. You're going to have more gaps into your torso, and it's going to make that Magnum buck, and it's going to make that flechette, and it's going to make all that stuff a hell of a lot more useful. And I personally think once that day comes, leg meta is not necessarily going to be as big of a subject as it is these days, because you don't actually need to shoot that person in the legs. So even if they are wearing some of the thickest armor, you just get them where, well, that's a just forehead kind of comment, but you can just shoot them under the arms, and that's going to go immediately into their torso and see what happens. And then obviously if you don't have too much luck with that, then you go for the legs, or if you have an open shot at the legs and they don't really have eyes on you, then you would probably just go for the legs anyway and see what happens with that. But yeah. Yeah, you guys check out the commands. All right, let's see if we can get to a couple questions here. If a guy lost his legs, if guy lost his leg but survived, it doesn't matter. He is dead as PMC anyway. He can't fight. Yeah, you're out of the fight. So that is a good point there, Kieranel. And I think that's part of it. That's part of the gray area that goes into leg meta and why it's in Escape from Tarkov, is because if you do lose your leg, like, I'm sure there's a big discussion that can go into this and how badass, and how badass is your guy, and if you put a tourniquet on it and you wrap it up correctly, and you put some morphine on there, if you actually if you get some morphine into your system, then theoretically you might be in the fight a bit. You can get your gun up and might be good to go there. But that all takes time. So medical system, are you going to be able to get there? Are you going to be able to do it yourself before you go into shock and stuff like that? So that's a big subject there with that. I think that fits into that gray area, and that fits into that as realistic as playable kind of a sense, where it's a necessary evil for the David and Goliath kind of a thing, where the lower ranked player, the lower geared player, and scav players can take on the Chads somewhat easily. And then once the armor hitboxes come in, I think we'll be seeing less and less discussion about leg meta. When are we going to see the booms like RPGs and Claymores? No date, but they're planned. I talked about those in my most recent Future Guns of Tarkov video, so you can check that out. What are your thoughts on making leg meta more viable, as in making it very hard to walk and even black? We'll have to see when because that's a pretty significant feature, and it's going to go a lot into like the medical system and stuff like that. So I think what would be the best case to go at, I think the best way to go at that would be wait for the custom armor hitboxes, custom rigs and armor hitboxes to come in, see how that affects the economy, see how that affects everyone's play styles, and then maybe we talk about leg meta a bit more. What's up, Jan? What do you think of shin armor, like hockey or soccer? That is class 1. It's gonna. It doesn't really make sense. It's really not used. BSG, I talked about that when I was actually discussing today's topic, when I went on my little riff earlier today. So you can rewind and you can check that out. The last time that BSG talked about it, they said that it's not used regularly unless you're on like a SWAT team. And there's not really too many of that in Tarkov, in that Russian population like that. So I feel like if we were going to see leg armor, we would see something like that ballistic shield be used by PMCs, or be able to be used by PMCs, before we would see something like a leg armor or like a shin armor kind of thing like that. And then personally, I just wouldn't wear it. It's gonna make it less easy for you to move around. It's gonna make it a lot more difficult for you to be maneuverable. So I don't think I would use it personally, and I'm sure there's lots of people that are on that train as well. But especially where it's just as a level 1, like what's that gonna do? So yeah, I don't think it makes too much sense to have that personally, and BSG agrees with that as well. So we'll see what happens with the custom armor hitboxes. What do you think about weapon durability, malfunction, and how would the SCAR compare to the M4? I'm not a huge gun guy. I like the SCAR a lot, and I know that the M4 has some clean issues, or it has some cleanliness issues and jamming issues and stuff like that. Which, if you take care of your weapon, I've been told that that's fine, and you don't actually see a whole lot of that, which makes sense to me. Which also makes sense with the durability and weapon malfunction stuff. It's going to play a lot into the heat. So if you guys are using full auto a lot, I think that's when you're going to run into trouble. If you guys are constantly, slinging thousands of rounds every raid, then before you get out of that raid, you might be seeing some problems until you can repair that weapon. But until then, it's really just open up for discussion, and it's speculation at this point. We're going to have to see. So I know that piston weapons, again, I'm not a huge gun guy, but from what I hear, piston weapons can run sometimes a little bit dirtier. And the SCAR is piston, I believe. If the SCAR isn't piston, please let me know. That's a screw up. I got to know whether that's a real thing or not. I believe the SCAR is piston driven. If it's not, then we'll see what happens between the M4. And I know the HK416 is, so... And that doesn't seem to have too many problems going full out, at least right now. So we'll see what the 416 does when we get those weapon malfunctions in and the heat. What about daily quests? Daily quests are planned. Yep. Daily and weekly quests are planned. Are they adding armor plates? Yep. You've seen some of them in the slideshow that you got up on screen. They are going to be adding replaceable armor plates, and they're going to have unique armor hitboxes. So what you see is what you get with the armor. If the armor is not covering that, then it's not covered by armor, and it's going to hit that torso. It's going to hit that skin, whatever it might be. If you need to know more about that, there's a whole bunch of... I should have made that a command, too. I should have made the custom rig and the custom armor hitboxes that. But if you want to learn more about that, go check out my video on it, and it's going to be something along the lines of the biggest change coming to Escape from Tarkov, I think is the title. How would you change the KS-23 shrapnel round? How would you change the KS-23 shrapnel round and grenade launcher that won't insta-kill you? I wouldn't change the grenade launcher because the grenade launcher should insta-kill you. It's a grenade launcher. It's a 40mm grenade. it should insta-kill. And then the KS-23, again, that's actually going to play big time into the custom armor hitboxes. Personally, I think they shouldn't be touched right now unless it's an absolute crazy thing, which I know lots of people like to talk about that stuff. I know it's a spicy subject right now in the community. But personally, I don't think the KS-23 needs to be touched right now. And I definitely don't think the grenade launcher needs to be touched because it's a grenade launcher. Now, that is with the deadliness of the rounds themselves and the weapons themselves. Now, what could be touched and what could be iterated on is how we get access to those and how expensive they are and how they fit into the economy and stuff like that, which there's been plenty of that. And since they really hit the grenade launcher hard there, I can't remember the last time I've seen a grenade launcher. And I'm sure if you guys play labs and stuff, I know that those are pretty chaos on labs. But it's a touchy subject, and it's actually kind of a rabbit hole now that I think about it. So maybe we can talk about explosives and stuff more specifically. Actually, we did already. So go check out that podcast if you want to know more about opinions and our discussion on that. But yeah, I think it fits okay into the current state of the game and the economy right now. So we'll see what happens when they get further iterated on in the future. Just call me Black. Oh, what up, Jan? Or blah, Fortune, Black, whatever you've changed your name. I'm assuming your name is Black Fortune. Guy that pops up a lot. Payday 2 bomb suit went. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna be seeing much of those. Do you think Tarkov is in a good place right now in terms of realism? Okay. What would you like the game to be more or less realistic? Kodo, we just had that, and I'm assuming because I've seen you here like every day. I'm assuming you were here for that discussion the other day. That's definitely a rabbit hole, and that was that big subject. If you didn't see that cast, or if anyone interested in that subject didn't see that cast, I would go check that out. And the name of that podcast was, or whatever you want to call it, I know these are only an hour, as realistic as playable, quote unquote, as realistic as playable. And we'll see. I think personally it is okay. Like the only issue that I have currently with Escape from Tarkov is the economy and the end game, because the end game does not exist, and the economy makes everyone get a little bit too quickly into the end game. So we'll see. Jan, you might have spammed a bit too much there, so you got to be careful. It was probably just for 5 seconds. So we do have Nightbot going here, guys, because we got some people misbehaving. So just be careful what you're putting in all caps and stuff like that. What about loot extraction? We haven't heard anything new about that, but that is currently planned. I forget if they have it planned on that specifically. I know it's been discussed a lot, so go ahead and yell at me if this doesn't end up being the case, but I'm going to go ahead and stick a planned stamp on that, whether it be you stick it in the back of a truck and the truck leaves, or if it's like a dead drop. I think that's planned. I think that's planned for like a loot dead drop where you can stay in the raid, but your loot goes to your hideout kind of thing. Any information about revolvers? The last thing we heard about revolvers is that they're having issues getting them to work correctly. They're having issues getting them to work correctly. So I don't know what that means. I'm not sure if it's an animation thing. I'm not sure if it's a back end thing or what. But yeah, they're having issues getting revolvers working correctly. So yeah, I don't know what's going on with that, and I don't have a date for that. So we'll see. We've been waiting on them for a long time though. It's also could be that they're just not. They just don't see them as a priority right now. How likely is a shield? Vary, because we've seen the work in progress shots for it. Now, in terms of how likely is a shield for a PMC or a player, I think that is up for discussion and that's up for debate. We'll have to have one of those be the actual good questions that we ask BSG instead of the normal, fix your game, fix your servers kind of a thing. Because what it could end up being is it could be something for a boss specifically. So we could see like a scav boss or something specifically use a riot shield. And then we won't be able to pick it up, and that'll be like a balance thing. That'll be as realistic as playable thing for sure. But yeah, so we'll see what ends up happening with that. But we haven't heard anything specific in that for that in a while, a hot minute. Can you say hi, Emma? Hi, Emma. My sister's name is Emma. To trip out my wife, she is here listening. Hello, Emma. Yeah, my sister's name is Emma, so that's funny. What are the other scavs coming? What are the others? You mean when? UN and those special forces? When are the other scavs coming? Yeah, we don't have a date for that. I know that they've been working on the UN for quite a while now. I know they have a lot of plans that how should I word this correct? There's a lot of plans for the UN faction where you should go check out those videos. I got to remember to do that a lot more. Guys, I make a lot of videos explaining stuff in Escape from Tarkov, and there's like a 90% chance that whatever subject you want to talk about, I've made a specific video about in detail about like everything that we know about it. So if you want to know more detail about that, I would go check that out. But, the TLDR right now is that they're going to be walking around in walking around in teams. So there'll be like a medic team, a sniper team, a patrol team, and they're going to have specific loadouts based on what team they are in. And obviously that's going to seed the kind of loot that you're going to be able to find on them. So if you see them walking around in a specific area, you're going to assume that that's the patrol UN squad. So they're going to have a unique setup or a specific setup. If you see them up in a high area or, a checkpoint or something, then maybe they're a sniper team kind of UN squad. So you're going to have a specific gear for them. And if you see that medic backpack, it's probably a support team or a medic team or whatever. So you're going to have specific gear for them. But yeah, that's what we know about them. And if you want to know more, go check out that video. And we don't have a date. We don't know. So soon TM. With the heat and weapon damage coming in, do you see pristine barrels and parts for certain weapons coming in at a premium on the fleet? Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We'll see what happens to the economy when that pops up. Have BSG said anything about longer term injuries that last between raids? I don't know about injury, but they have talked about things like concussions and addiction. So I don't know. This is both soon TM. I don't know when this is going to be happening, but they have discussed it. And addiction is, as far as I know, planned. So if you guys are popping painkillers left and right, or if you're not using the correct kind of painkillers, there is going to be some potential for addiction, where you will have like certain effects happen to you if you don't get your fix. If you keep using too many, if you keep using too many painkillers, and then for a long while there you don't use painkillers, stuff's gonna happen to you. That's the information that we have on it currently. We don't have a date. We don't have anything extra beyond that. Please be careful with the spamming and stuff, guys. Please. Axel says he sees GL very often. Yeah, if you guys play labs a lot, I'm sure it's in labs a lot. Love your content and can't wait to get your podcast on other platforms. Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. I'm assuming that Mike, you're the guy that left that comment the other day. I do remember that because I thought it was funny specifically that you brought that up. This is like a kind of like a pilot, guys, because I wanted to see if I could just talk alone, because a big thing with Tarkov podcasts, for some reason or another, there's always like 9 people in the Tarkov casts. It's like there's just not enough there's not enough time, there's not enough air to have that many people discuss whatever you guys want to discuss. So I wanted to see if I could just roll solo, and then maybe I'll have 1 or 2 at most guests ever, if there's ever going to be like a podcast, and that's going to be like later in the afternoon, US time, Eastern US time. But these morning shows are pretty good because I like to hang out with you guys. Grab some coffee and come hang out. First time catching you. First time catching one of these live. Just want to say, love the content, bro. Keep up the good work. Appreciate it, Chris. Not here. Was on my way home from school. Okay, I lost you there, Kodo. Know what you mean, but I hope everything's good. Will there ever be vehicles in game? So there's actually a ever so slight potential for vehicles to come into the game. The best way to describe that is there is a very, very, very little chance. So it's not 0, but it's not exactly, a chance. Like it's hard to explain there, because the way that Nikita has described it is that it's so far out of their realm of scope and their realm of priority for the game, that he highly doubts that they'll ever have drivable vehicles and vehicles that you can use as a PMC and stuff like that. But it's not necessarily completely out of the question that eventually, way down the line, we might see some vehicles. So that was the last we heard about that, or at least the last that I heard about that. I'm assuming you mean like latest info with skins and like the painting camera and hideout or whatever is coming. Yeah, that's pretty open area. That's pretty open ended there. Pires. Skins for guns. I know that the spray paint is planned. The camera and the hideout and stuff. I'm not sure what you mean there. Give me some better info and I might be able to answer that a bit better. But the skins, spray paint for guns, that's planned. That's coming. That's soon TM. But they're not really scavs, right? Zarko, you're gonna have to again. I'm talking to a lot of people here, so you got to be specific here. If you mean the UN, no, they're not scavs. They're their own thing. Seeing as there are cultists now, when will we have the UN and other AI? Yep, already talked about that, Rob. That's just a soon TM, but they're coming. Love the content. I love your work, but I will be watching the boss. But I can't wait to hear you on other platforms. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, Mike again. I'll see it. We'll see, dude. Did the dev talks blah let's get a little bit of spell check here, guys. This is mind fucking me sometimes. Did the dev have they talked about quality of life fixes? Like weapon loadout will be built on different storage area and not on the main inventory area. It's kind of funny how it's handled nowadays. Yeah, sure. Quality of life stuff is always popping up and it's always in the back of their mind, but it comes to like, what is the actual priority of that quality of life fix? And can they fit it into their busy schedule? So we'll see what happens. I think personally, like the inventory is okay right now. I still need to, I guess I can ask him later. I didn't ask Pest from yesterday. I guess Pest heard Pestily heard something about how you're going to be able to lock or filter certain things when it comes to automatically auto sorting your stash and stuff like that, which does make sense, and I don't think it would be that difficult to implement into the game. So in terms of quality of life, that would be pretty nice, but I haven't heard anything specific about that, and they are constantly thinking about stuff like that, so we'll see. Will I be able to cook meth in my hideout? Lots of painkillers, maybe. I don't know about that. The Scar, for what I know, jams a lot. Some project fails. So I looked a lot into the Scar in real life. So I know like I watched a couple Grantham videos, and he interviewed some people about the Scar, and I looked up like Iraq veteran 8888 and some other people that cover and other people that cover guns and do proper gun reviews on YouTube and stuff like that. And from what I can tell from people that have used it in combat extensively, if you take care of it, it'll take care of you. So that seems to fit well for me. So we'll see what ends up popping up. But the general sense of it was if you took care of it, it'll take care of you. So, yeah. You mentioned late game comes too quick, but isn't that impossible to gauge? The first time you kill a scav boss, you're in the late game. Well, you kind of just answered your own question there, Lethal. That's the late game. Yeah, so it's not impossible to gauge, but if you, generally speaking, have instant access to late game gear that you then use to get you more late game gear, and then by day 2 or 3, you are literally running every single raid in late game gear. That's late game, and that, you know, in my mind and in my opinion, that's too quick. So there needs to be some kind of way to filter that, and it doesn't necessarily mean take that gear away from scav bosses, but it does mean like there needs to be a way to kind of curve that a little bit, and I personally don't know the answers to that, but that is the cause. So people that are able to go into reserve with five-man groups, or go into labs with 5-man groups on day 1 or day 2, because you do need a labs card and stuff like that. Actually, I can't speak about labs because we might see some changes with that once Streets pops up. So we'll see what happens with labs once Streets pops up, because we're gonna have that map-to-map travel where it's gonna make it more difficult to get into labs. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. But we'll just say reserve specifically. If you go into reserve as a 5-man group and you're able to, the first few raids, get out of there with a bunch of raider gear, and then you're constantly running endgame gear, is that necessarily a problem? How badly does that affect the economy and stuff like that? It's a unique discussion. It's definitely kind of a bit of a rabbit hole, and it's something that I'm worried about personally, especially for people that want to run those persistent servers where you just have the one wipe and then you're immediately just having the end game gear constantly, forever. So I like the early game. Probably the best way for me to explain this is I like the early game. I like when everyone's running around with not the best stuff. I think it makes the game a bit more interesting when there is that 1 or 2 people, sure, that might have that unique item that is a quote-unquote late game gear, or late game item with that unique M4, or maybe the ammo that they're deciding to use, or their armor or something like that. But having everyone full tilt the best gear constantly, I think it turns it into a bit of a different game that I don't necessarily like as much as like the early to mid game kind of play styles and the gameplay that you get there. You think we'll get recon equipment like drones or replaceable cameras? I don't know about drones, and yeah, I definitely don't know about drones. I don't think that's planned. I don't think that really fits too much. I don't think that fits too much into the current play style and their current workings. Placeable cameras are going to be interesting because we have seen work on that, or we have seen work in progress shots of that camera ball. So we'll see if that ends up being a thing. And placeable cameras, I'm not sure either, so we'll see. But when it comes to recon equipment, I know we're going to be getting like binos and rangefinders and stuff like that. So those will be pretty useful. I got to take a sip of my coffee here. I'm going to lose my voice again today. Killed Rashal and the boys in the first. Killed Rashal and the boys in first few raids of wipe. Use an alternate TV 110 for the next 40 raids. Yeah, exactly, that kind of a thing. Yeah, it's up for debate, of course, but and theoretically, if everyone that had a good first raid actually used their best gear constantly on day 1, we could be talking about something different here. But yeah. Like I said before, I don't want to get into this again, but there's a different kind of gameplay that you have in the early to mid game that I enjoy more than the late game stuff. So we'll see if it ends up being a thing at launch. We'll see if it ends up being a thing at launch. I meant the painting gun station or something like that. Yeah, it'll be spray paints. You can use spray paints. Cooking stream. Yeah, don't count on it. I think making lab guards gear affected by the durability and degrade system to stop people just farming late game. I'm not sure what you mean there specifically. Maybe that might end up changing a little bit with the custom armor hitboxes and stuff like that. We'll see what ends up happening with that. I don't know if you mean like, because they can just always repair it and it probably won't be that bad. Because things aren't going to be that bad depending on who you get your gear repaired by. Who's the first person? Excuse me. When is the first repair? How bad was the weapon for that first repair, and who you get it repaired by? So yeah, it's going to take some testing. Stagger the scav. It is scav, by the way, guys. SCAV. I see a lot of people saying scab. Stagger the scav boss rollout. Possibly lore reasons explaining why the roll in. There could be timed events and stuff like that. Guys, chill with the spam. Lupa's there. Make sure you're using the @NiceGuySpaceTarkov so I can see your questions. And just everyone in general, if you have a question, use this. Use that as the setup there because it shows up differently for me. Will be in Tarkov new secure containers. Possibly. We have, if you're asking if there's going to be new secure containers there, Lupas, the Omnicron is the only one that we know about right now. So that's going to be a 3x3, so it's going to be your gamma, and then picture the gamma, but there's also going to be a gap below that 3x3 or whatever on the side or whatever, and there's going to be a 1x3 slot. So in total, we're looking at 12 slots, but they're split up by a 3x3 and then a 1x3. That's what we know so far about it. The Omnicron or Omnicron, whatever you want to call it. Autocorrect doesn't like scav. Oh, I guess. Oh, that's why. That makes sense. Okay, duh. Okay, I get it now. I would guess that if there are going to be cars, there's not going to be cars. It's a very, very, very unlikely that there's going to be cars. It would be when the game is truly open world and stash and hideout and all the actual game and not the menu correct. Yeah, it would be way, way, way down the line as maybe even like a DLC or something like that if it ends up showing up. It's very, very, very small chance that we ever see cars in Escape from Tarkov. Has Nikita said anything about a mag reloading animation? Yeah, there's going to be bullet by bullet. Any arena mode updates? Nope. We haven't heard anything since 12.10 from BSG official wise. Since 12.10. Since the cast they did about 12.10. Have the devs talked about rangefinders? Yeah, rangefinders are planned. Do you know anything about the main menu having slow response time and stuttering when it goes into menus? No idea. I'm assuming that's just, loading screens. So we'll see if they make them quicker or not, I guess. I don't know. Are there any specific... Also, that obviously depends on your setup, too. I'm sure it's different from person to person, depending on their PC setup. Are there any specific dates on custom armor hitboxes? And no specific dates, but there is a specific patch. Patch 13 is the sweet spot, especially for Streets. Streets of Tarkov is patch 13. Patch 13 is the Streets of Tarkov patch. But I'm thinking the custom armor hitboxes are going to be coming with that, too. Before the end of the year was their latest thing. Biggest change you're looking forward to with the Unity 2019 update? There's going to be something going on with the volumetric fog, and I think I talked about that in that specific video. So if you guys want to learn more about that, check out my Unity 19 specific video. I actually interviewed some people that work in the game industry that were working on proper games that went from Unity 18 to Unity 19. And they gave me some info on what they think about it and what the best improvements and stuff. So I think there was something about volumetric fog in there, and we know how much of a bitch fog can be. So that would be interesting to see in Tarkov. 338 Lapua bolt action anytime soon? If it's gonna be second in the game, and what am I saying here? I think we're going to be seeing a bolt action sometime soon. Also, I think there's a few weapons that we're going to be seeing that are going to be like what we see with the MDR and like what we're going to be seeing with the SCAR, where it has the 308 and the 5.56. I think we're going to be seeing sniper rifle systems that are like that. Like I know there's Ruger rifles, and Desert Tech has a bullpup rifle. I think it's the DSR. No, DSR. I think DSR is different, but I know that Desert Tech has a rifle system that a bullpup rifle system that can use like a ton of different calibers, like 308, 300 Winchester, stuff like that, and 338 Lapua and 6.8 and stuff like that. I give more specific info on my future Guns of Tarkov video, so go check that out for more. But I think we're going to see something similar with that with 338 Lapua and then even like 300 Winchester 308 and so on. Biggest change, already got that. Do you think labs should have a scav boss? I don't know. I wouldn't say I think it should have a scav boss, because I think the lore, I know the lore behind that is that it's supposed to be evacuated. There's not supposed to be anyone down there. And I think the scav raiders know that, so I think that's why they're down there. But we'll see. They've said that they've wanted multiple scav bosses for each location, so we'll see if a scav boss ends up showing up in labs. That's really all I can say. I haven't heard anything specific about a lab boss. And lore-wise, I don't think there really should be one down there lore-wise, unless there ends up being some kind of like what we see with the cultists. If we have something similar to like their priest, who no matter what map is on, it's not necessarily a singular person that is just the leader of the group. Maybe we'll end up seeing something like that with raiders in the future. We'll see. They said something about dragging bodies. Yeah, that's planned. Advanced animations like that are planned, and that's specifically from Nikita himself. There was a Q&A not too long ago, or maybe it was pretty long ago. It could have been a couple months ago, where literally Nikita himself answered some questions from me, and that was one of them. It should be in the title, so advanced animations should be in the title or thumbnail somewhere. Excuse me. Has there been any mention of gun cost balancing? Of course, yeah, that's going to be coming patch to patch for sure. Excuse me. But generally speaking, that kind of stuff is player-driven economy. They tend to tweak how the players get to that point in the economy. So they'll tweak things like, the Bitcoin, scav drop rates, and unique loot, dynamic loot, and stuff like that. But BSG doesn't necessarily touch anything regarding specific costs of weapons. It would just, usually what they do is how easy is it to access those weapons without buying them, stuff like that. Everything else should be player-driven economy. Do you think they're going to add working security cameras like on Interchange, for example? The room, yeah, there's always been talk of security cameras and things like that. We'll see what ends up happening with that theater mode and things like that. We'll see what ends up happening. And then there's also stuff going on with the hideout where you're going to be able to access and maybe even possibly hack into certain security cameras around Tarkov. Any of you guys that have played Rust, it's going to work similar to that, where you can set up that PC station and then you're going to be able to see the security cameras around the map, stuff like that. It's going to be something similar to that that I've heard of. Do you think that they are going to add? All right, got that. They said something about Dragonbot. Yep, already got that. Mentioned a gun cost balancing. Yeah, player-driven economy. We'll see what ends up happening. Wipe to wipe, patch to patch, stuff like that. With Unity 19, do you think it will bring better FPS and performance? That's the idea. If you guys need to know more about that, go check out that specific video. I've heard that they are going to drop Lighthouse before Streets, but we have yet to see any screenshots of that map. Do you know anything about that? Yes, that is the current plan. So it's supposed to be the factory expansion, Streets. Sorry. Factory expansion in 12.11. Some points after that we are supposed to see Lighthouse, and then after that we're supposed to see Streets. The only kind of anything regarding a date we have nothing about. But for patches, we know that 12.11 is going to be Factory. Some patch between that and patch 13 is going to be Lighthouse, and then patch 13 is the Streets patch. Patch 13 is supposed to be the big, that is the Streets patch. Streets is coming with patch 13. Also, when it comes to pictures, we haven't seen pictures of the factory expansion yet either. All we've seen are pictures of the scav boss, so we'll see. Off topic, but what are you most hyped that BSG are going to add to the game? Definitely Streets and definitely the custom armor hitboxes. That's going to change the game a lot, so can't wait for that stuff. Do you think meta will still be a thing when the armor hitboxes come into the game? There's always going to be metas. You can't get rid of a meta. There's going to be like in the community, there's going to be a generally agreed upon, setup or gun or ammo or something that people see as the quote unquote best for that time or for that point in time of that patch. But then things are going to pop up. The unique economy events are going to pop up that might make that weapon harder to get, that might make that ammo harder to get, that might make that armor harder to get. Because generally speaking, BSG don't like that there is a significant meta throughout the game, so they're going to do their best to kind of like mess with that. And it's not necessarily like a conceited effort. It's just cool that there's going to be changes coming through with like someone's supply got raided or something like that. So there's going to be less access to the best 5.56 ammo or the 338 ammo, or not 338, 308 ammo, or that specific type of armor or food maybe or something like that. So that's how the dynamic events are planned to like kind of fuck with us a bit. With buddy healing coming, what are your thoughts of downing an opponent by zeroing their health pool on a non-vital body part without killing them? That's going to be unique. That'll be a unique situation, and then bringing them back up. Yeah, I really haven't thought about that. I haven't given that too much thought. We'll see. I guess we'll see. Like I said, I really haven't given too much thought about that. We'll see what kind of gameplay. And then I guess that really just turns into like a DayZ kind of a thing. Maybe you can bring them back up after you rob them kind of a thing. And it will be unique with karma because you're not killing them. So how is that going to affect karma if you hurt them significantly but don't kill them? That is a very interesting question there. Leon, how do you say your name there? Leon, I think. Leon. Yeah, that's a very interesting question. That's going to be cool, actually. I haven't thought of it like that. How is that going to affect karma? I'm taking a note of that. That's interesting. Karma and unconscious buddy healing. Karma, between karma, the unconscious state, and buddy healing, and then use that all against an enemy. That is interesting. Unconscious. Buddy healing. I've never thought of it in that perspective. So that'll be interesting. Yeah, that's definitely going to be a DayZ. That's going to be like a DayZ kind of playstyle there with that. That'll be interesting. Good question there. Do you think they will add a bolt action chambered in 5.56? I'm assuming they will at some point. Yeah. Do we necessarily need one? Is that can you even? I don't know if we necessarily need one, but I'm assuming we'll see something like that for sure. But I don't necessarily think we need one. So it's actually my theory. It's kind of my opinion that we don't need it. But yeah. What would your streamer item be? I don't know. Newspaper, coffee, people have said that all the time. I don't really care. It's fine. Whatever they end up coming with, I'm sure I'll be fine with. If they end up doing something like that, I'm honored either way if they end up doing that. Sorry if it was answered. I'm late to today's stream. It's cool. You can rewind too, by the way, guys, and the VOD's going to be up after this. Do you think that persistent economy will be harsher than now, or will it just be Chads for all? Yeah, that's really a question for a later date, because we have to see what the economy looks like towards the end of the game to know what that's going to look like for persistence. If we're basing it off of the current economy and like just the current playstyles and whatnot, I think that would be pretty bad. Not bad, but it's not going to be my cup of tea because there's just going to be constant Chads everywhere, and that's not necessarily what I like. I kind of like the mid to early game kind of playstyles where it's a bit more survival-y. Those of you guys that know Deadly Slob, I'm like a Deadly Slob kind of player. I can Chad when I need to. I'm accurate. I've played a lot of first-person shooter games. I can get the kills. I can Chad when like I said, the best way to describe it is I can Chad when I need to, but I like the survival gameplay. I like the kind of the slower and the sniping and stuff like that. Do you think we'll see any more maps we don't know about? No, because they're already pretty behind as it is. They're already not behind, but they are, but like their plate's already pretty full with what they have in terms of maps. I'm sure we could be seeing some in the future, but before launch at least, no. Maybe with some DLC or something. Do you think fast throwing grenades should have more drawbacks? That's pretty open. Maybe. I think it's more like the effectiveness of the grenade, really. Or sorry, the efficiency of the grenade, like per cost, and like how easy are they to access and stuff. Personally, I don't like how easy it is to access grenades. But we'll see. We'll see what they end up coming with later down the line. Will there always be a meta? That's I mean, of course, yeah. There's always going to be a accepted, pound for pound best use of a weapon or an armor or an ammo or something like that. That's just based on the community. That's not based on like BSG setting anything up. And then they'll like I said with the specific unique economy events, they'll probably do their best to throw a wrench into that whenever they can. Wipe has only come with streets. No, Wipe. Perez, check out my 12.11 video. I think that the Streets patch is also going to be a wipe, but that's months away. You got any speculations, provisions, expectations regarding future bosses on Streets and how they might interact with each other? No clue. I'm assuming that it'll work like they are like gang bosses, and they have their own turf and stuff like that. Hell, we might even see them fight each other. I think. But generally speaking, I think they are gonna have like their own, like they're gonna have their own like turfs and stuff like that. Do you think after the launch of EFT with the two kinds of servers, persistent and wipes, the cheaters will be more on the I have no idea, man. They're constantly working on that stuff. We'll see. Sorry for bad English, no problem. Don't worry too much about cheaters. If you guys think if you're having a bad day in Tarkov, no matter who or how or what you died to, just take a break. That's the best way I can do it, and just, welcome to Tarkov. They're trying their best with that stuff, guys. Don't worry too much about it. Any info about next wipe? 12.11 and floppy exclamation point wipe. Been after Rashala all day, but I can't get him. Yeah, that's a welcome to Tarkov. Any tips? Yeah, it's just really, I would say it's a speed thing. For me personally, depending on what spawn I was at, have your loadout be something that you can move very quickly and that you don't necessarily care too much about, especially at this point of the wipe, because people are going to be looking for kills. And get to his spawn points as quickly as you possibly can. If you're near construction, or if you're near new construction, get to new construction. See if he's at new construction. If he's not there, get your ass to dorms. If he's not at dorms, get your ass to new gas, and see if he's there. And then wash, rinse, repeat from there. Like zero fucks given. Just get there. Because it is a bit of a race. Because those are the pretty hot areas, and that's where people want to go. So. Would the game benefit from handling high tier armor and ammo like it does with the Bitcoin? So that's a different thing, because that's the kind of stuff that doesn't really matter right now, because the current game doesn't reflect how it's going to look at launch. So that's stuff that we need to worry about down the line, and I'm sure that kind of stuff is where they're at right now because of how they want the test environment to be. So we're not going to be able to test items if we can't get access to them. And that's what we're here to do, test items. So I think the current economy reflects that, so that we can actually get access to items that we need to test. We'll see what ends up happening when they actually say, like, all right, we're coming up close to launch. We'll see what the economy ends up turning into at that. They got soldiers' duty to aid injured combatants. Yeah, possibly. Could be a karma thing. That's just all around interesting perspective on that. So I'll give some more thought on that. Do you know of any interactive websites where you can track the progress of your founding request items? No clue. I know they're working on an API for that stuff, but that doesn't really exist too much, or really at all right now. There is a confirmed patch to VoIP. VoIP is confirmed. Yes, VoIP is coming. But we don't have a date on it. We don't have a patch on it. I wish it was coming with 12.11 because it would make sense, but I don't know. You should have a streamer. It's not for me to decide, man. They can figure it out. Like I said, I'll be honored, but it's cool. Do you feel the way we sprint and jump and balance on objects like hand railings will become a thing of the past with the future inertia updates? That's not necessarily inertia. That's more of like a weight thing. And I think the biggest change to that is going to be the custom armor hitboxes and how that affects like what armor people bring into the game and stuff like that. That's probably going to be the biggest effect for that. That's not necessarily an inertia thing for hand railings and stuff. I guess some of them, yeah, because it's like yeah, I guess so. I guess for some of them, with how you would balance or how you would get there, or how you can quickly jump from spot to spot, I guess so. If they end up doing significant changes to inertia, we'll see when we'll see when that pops up. We'll see how drastic the changes are. Currently, grenades are overhand hotkey only. Do you think they should make it so that you can only use grenades from the hotbar? I don't know, man. We'll see. Maybe we can test that with the ETS. Like I said before, I think it's just the grenades are a hot subject because they're so easy to access based on the current economy. They're just super cheap right now because everyone has lots of money. Just Leon? Okay, cool. Adding more to that topic, downing someone would need a certain damage threshold. If there were to be none, yeah. When that comes into the game, I'm sure there's going to be something like that set up that would set you into the unconscious state. Now there is going to be the current setup where if you do get shot in a vital organ or if you do get shot in the head, you're going to go down immediately. But I'm sure when the unconscious state comes into the game, there is going to be that threshold. That's not from BSG or anything. That's actually speculation. I'm just based off of like how that thing would work or how it usually works in games. I'm assuming there's going to be something like that. Any changes coming to medical or planned complexity? Yeah, a bunch. So check out my most recent video on what did I call it? Future medical? Something along the lines of future meds in Escape from Tarkov, stuff like that. There's a whole bunch of that coming. Do you think cultists will have a major role in the story? Absolutely, yeah. In terms of major, like they're gonna be pretty significant because people will reference them and people will be scared of them and stuff like that. But I don't know if they'll be like that end game, like that's the final boss kind of stuff. If that's what you're thinking about, we'll see. How vertically connected do you think streets will be? Platforms or bridges connecting buildings through windows? Oh, I think it's gonna be great. Yeah, they've already talked lots about scaffolding and stuff like that. Garages. Once we get like working ladders and stuff, that'll be cool. I think it's gonna be great. There's going to be a lot of there is going to be a lot of verticality to streets. What do you think about labs having a power switch to cause a blackout in the map? They've already talked about night labs for a while now. I'm not sure what's going on with that. They've already talked about that for a while now. We'll see. We'll see what that ends up popping up, but that's planned. That is a complete blackout labs is planned. Crazy idea, but what if handcuffing enemy PMCs and getting them to... Yeah, there's... already there with the handcuffing PMCs and stuff. That's actually significant back-end stuff. Or not back-end, but it's significant cost to the team to be able to set up like animations and to set that up correctly. So we'll see if anything... as far as I know, that kind of a thing isn't planned, but we'll see what ends up happening with that. What's my favorite map? Right now, it's Interchange, and then the instant that Streets is available, I guarantee it's going to be Streets. I think a lot of players will leave backplate behind to save weight and such. The plate system will be an interesting balance of armor and mobility. 100%. It's going to be a big game changer for sure. Literally and figuratively. All right, guys, let's finish it up here. We got, I usually do these for about an hour, and we're over the hour mark. So hit me with a couple of really good questions here. Hit me with a couple if I didn't answer yours, or if you wanted to really have a specific answer to your question or something like that. Just toss it up into the chat. Use the @NiceGuySpaceTarkov, and then we'll call it a day here. What's up, Boston? What do you think about VoIP? I think VoIP is required for a game like this. I think it needs to be in game ASAP. It's a necessary evil. We've talked about VoIP a whole lot. I think I need to make VoIP a subject because we talk about that like every day. I'll take a note on that. VoIP. But generally speaking, my opinions are pretty well said with VoIP in my videos. So if you guys need to know about that stuff, or if you need an answer right now, go check out my videos on VoIP. What do you think about ammo nerf or something? Is it so that's patch to patch? Gamer Alley, however you say that. That's a patch to patch thing right now that goes along with the testing. We're here to test the game. We're here to see how those things work. We're here to see how the economy works and stuff like that. So it's going to come. There's going to be changes, whether it be good or bad, nerfs and buffs for the weapons and the ammo and the armor and everything as we go through the development of the game. Will there be advanced vertical movement? Yeah, there's going to be vaulting and stuff. Check out advanced animations, I think is what I called it for that video. You think Streets will have issues with lag? I mean, of course, yeah, depending on your setup. Of course, with depending on your PC and stuff. Now they are obviously taking that into account. And for those who don't know, they already made Streets once, but they weren't happy with the performance of the location, so they literally scrapped it and then started back from scratch. So the reason why we have those screenshots back from like 2016 of the guy standing in the street and looking up at the skyscrapers, and that was supposed to be Streets, is because they already did make Streets, and like I said, they didn't like the performance of it. They didn't like the frames. They didn't like how it performed. They didn't like how the map worked and stuff like that. So they literally scrapped it and started from scratch. And their priority being it actually being feasible, it working correctly, the FPS being there, the backend on the servers being there. And as far as we know right now, it is actually doing very well. And the thing that they are the thing that they are looking into in terms of priority is, last that we heard about it, is they're worried about like trash. So there's lots of polygons that come with just random trash on the streets, and when it comes to attention to detail and stuff like that, that they're going to need to really take into account. Like, does there actually need to be that much trash on the street? Does there need to be that much graffiti on the wall? Does there need to be that much rubble in that destroyed building? Like, that kind of a thing, and those kind of decisions are what comes up with maps like that, because the map is so huge. What is their priority? Do they want that map to be that detailed? Do they want that crazy look and feel to it, or do they want to actually run correctly? And right now it seems like they have it right between running correctly and detail, with it probably leaning more towards running correctly. Only thing in terms of what we know about that right now is that they do want 40 players. They want 40 players on streets, so we'll see what ends up happening with that. Any word on open world past my most recent video on map to map travel? No, so go check that out. Any night labs on night lab subjects? Switch should be on the streets. You enter labs having no idea what's in there. That'd be really cool, Colonel. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for today. I will be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern United States time. I don't know what the subject is going to be for tomorrow, but coming up on that, maybe we can talk about Subkarma more. Maybe we can talk about VoIP. There's a bunch of different ideas I have that we can talk about there. But that was Leg Meta. If you guys missed any of the stream, you can rewind right now, and then also the VOD is going to be up soon after. The VODs usually go up soon after I'm done with the live stream. So as usual, guys, thank you very much for hanging out. If you need the latest Escape from Tarkov news, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you like more games than just Escape from Tarkov, I play lots of games here, guys. Just don't always show it on the main channel. Check out my second channel. I'd appreciate the likes. I'd appreciate the comments. And otherwise, I really hope that you guys have a nice day. See you guys.